So, you know, like this year is the second year in a row that we've had a pretty significant drought. And, you know, you always hear about guys being like, oh, the drought's going to affect the antlers or whatever the case may be. And sure, that has some effect. But what it really affects with the antelope is it generally affects the height of the overall horn. And so antelope start producing testosterone sometime like October, November, after the rut. And that's when they actually start growing their horns, and then they'll shed this sheath. And so there'll be just a piece of bone under here that the hair grows on. And so for antelope, the majority of their growing season is December, January, February, March, that kind of area. So what happens when you have a really dry year is you don't have any grass in the fall. So like these antelope, 2020 we had a pretty bad drought, so there wasn't a lot of nutrients or, you know, food, so to speak, all winter. And so that part of this, you know, their horns, this part is grown first in the prongs, and then it grows up from here. And so early on, when the weather was nice, November, December, you know, they're growing everything good. Well, then we get cold weather in January, February, March, and they use those nutrients and put them towards, you know, survival and body mass and that kind of stuff. So they don't, you know, it's not used for growing horns. So in a year like this, following a drought, a lot of times you'll have a lot of antelope that are good, you know, have good ivory tips, good tops, good prongs, and good mass, but they might just be short from the top of their head to the prong. And that's mainly because they're, you know, the growing season in the winter, they didn't have as much nutrients as they do a lot of time. So a lot of times in wet years, you'll have goats that, you know, their prongs are way up higher because they grew here during the winter months. So, or I guess the year following a wet season. So, but kind of cool about antelope, whereas deer and elk, you know, most of their stuff, all they're growing is during the summer. So it's kind of the nutrients that they have leading into that growing season is what affects a lot of it.